You're live? Cool.
Mhm.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday live stream of our group Friendship Skills 1.0 for this digital age. I'm still have a look for the group live stream, which isn't active right now.
Okay.
So going live in 0. I'm reloading my page on Facebook
Okay.
to check if everything works out.
Mhm.
So yes, now it's working out. Um, Welcome to a live stream of our group Friendship Skills 1.0 for this digital age. Thanks for joining our session today or watching the video afterwards. Our topic of the week is how to be a parent and a friend for our children. And because I don't have children myself, I'm very happy to welcome a real expert for this live session. Please welcome my co-host and group expert, Martina Putney. Welcome, Tina.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me,
Thank,
Matthias.
thank you for joining. Was really looking for that because you have been posting, you have been group expert in our group for, I think, right from the start, and you joined nearly all conversation discussions
Mhm.
with good advice. Thanks you. That's really great already, Tina. Let's start with getting to know each other.
Mhm.
Tina, please tell our group what's your name, where are you from, and what are you doing for your living?
Absolutely. I am Tina Putney. I am living in Wisconsin. It's super cold. I was telling Matthias here that a few days ago it looked like December out there because there was snow, and yes, that's not uncommon for Wisconsin. And I'm also a certified parent coach. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Tina.
Mhm.
I read about the work of life coaches a lot, but there are plenty of definitions. I think nearly
Sure.
each life coach has his own one.
Mhm.
Therefore, out of your perspective, what is life coaching about, and what exactly is your area of expertise?
So I work with parents. I'm a certified parent coach. What I do is I do weekly one-on-one sessions. I also do group calls. We work with generational trauma, we work with inner healing, and we work with
Mhm.
emotion regulation skills that I actually teach in my program. So
So it's mostly the relation parent to children,
mhm.
or how do you?
Yep, yep.
Cool. That's
Mhm.
amazing. Helping others is a great way to make this world a little bit nicer, I think.
I
That's
absolutely agree. Yep,
why I
exactly.
also created this group. And what's always is really interesting, how comes that you started life coaching in the first place?
Yeah, I have a story where I struggled as a mama with
Mhm.
my first son, and it was very difficult. So I actually had to go on a healing journey myself, lots of therapy, learning those emotion regulation skills,
Mhm.
lots of parenting programming, and found out that I needed some help again. So I connected with the parent coach, and I asked my parent coach how she got to what she's doing, and now I'm doing it myself.
Cool. That's amazing.
Mhm.
And for how long have you been a life coach?
I've been on my practice since June of last year.
Cool. So you're fresh in the business. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your story. One question I do have. How many kids do you have?
I have two. I have two energetic and beautiful boys, 7 and 4. One is going to
Cool.
be 5 in like a few weeks. So,
That's 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 super cool. Please, Tina, later on after this live session, it would be really lovely if you could share your Facebook page and your own group in the comments.
absolutely. Would love to.
Thank you for that. That makes it easier for our viewers to connect with you if they want to be in touch with you. Uh,
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Now, let's proceed. Our topic of the week is how to be a parent and a friend for our children.
Mhm.
What do you think how it works?
Well, the biggest thing is trust, right? In any relationship, you have to have trust. And there's 3 questions that children always ask themselves. And if you're taking notes at all, it's, am I safe? Who am
Mhm.
I? And how do I belong? Every child needs to feel safe in their home. Every child needs to feel safe in their own bodies. And every parent also needs to feel safe in their home and safe in their bodies. Who am I? They are learning things for the very
Mhm.
first time. They've never been their age that they are, and they are looking to you, parents, to help them figure out how to handle life, how to respond to situations, what to do with their anger. And if you're not in a state that you can do that, then they feel very unsafe. And so you can't
Mhm.
really be friends with them at that point if you're not being safe yourself. So,
Um, but in this area, where stops the parenting and where starts the
yeah.
friendship?
Yep, exactly. So the paradigm that we have been taught is the parent over, right? So the parent's on top and the child's on
Mhm.
the bottom. And that's the authoritarian, that's the authoritative parenting.
Mhm.
Then there's the permissive, and there's that unengaged parent where the child on top, parents on the bottom. That is also kind of a control technique, which is not safe for the child. They don't
Mhm.
feel secure in that kind of parenting. So the one that I'm teaching is in power parenting, which they are on a level playing field, which means that the parent still is a parent,
Mhm.
sort of addresses boundaries, makes sure that that's important. However, they also allow the child to let them know, in the decision making process. Like if they want to go to a movie, what movie do they want to watch?
Mhm.
The parent allows them to have a little bit more say. So it's not my way or the highway. It's not, I'm just going to be disengaged and disinvolved,
Mhm.
but it is, we're going to work together to find a solution. So that's my
So
favorite.
so collaborative
Yes,
working things out. So
exactly.
not like I'm the dad, you have to do what I'm telling you to do.
Exactly.
But I let you participate in my decision-making process, or I
Yep.
even let you do the decision-making process, and I just give you suggestion to show the lead, to be in
You
the
got
lead.
it. It's you're equal with your child. You
Hmm.
you see your child as an equal. Now,
Hmm.
I'm not saying that cognitively your child's going to always know how to handle certain situations. That's why they come to you. But
Hmm.
I'm saying that seeing your child as an equal means that you don't see yourself above your child. There's no
Hmm.
dominance in this parenting style. The child feels just as safe as they would if you were
Hmm.
their friend. So that's the question, is if they can be friends. I absolutely say yes. I don't
Okay.
say if there's destructive behavior going on that you also participate in that. I don't say that.
Hmm.
I'm saying that if there is a connection between your child, and that's what you're after the connection, you're after the relationship, you're after the safety of the
Hmm.
relationship, and that insinuates that you are your child's friend because you are asking questions. You are trying to get to know them. You are trying to get to know what their likes and their dislikes and,
Hmm.
their inner world. And that's what a parent does. A good parent would do that.
Hmm.
And that in itself is you're producing a friendship before you
That's.
establish that boundary of I'm the parent. Um,
Mhm.
you want to be equal. That's what I teach.
Alison Turner wrote "Give choices," so offer choices to your child. That's a method you agree on?
Absolutely. Choices are
Oh.
very important.
Mhm.
And a child needs to feel safe to make themselves known, to make choices, because
Mhm.
if they just have a parent that says, well, do it because I said so, they're not going to feel very safe later in life to make choices. And so then you kind of um, disservice them in that way by being that dominant parent and
Mhm.
not allowing them to be confident in themselves. And that's what you want as a parent, is you want confident kids, empowered kids,
Mhm.
to go out there and change the world. Yeah, absolutely.
This means they start learning friendship with you as a parent, so that they even get to know what friendship is about,
Absolutely.
to relate this trust with the other people, and then they can reflect it on others as well.
Right. And if they're safe with their parents, then they're going to know which friends are going to be helpful to them and which friends are not going to be helpful to them. They can see that and they can make
Mhm.
those decisions, those wise decisions, because you've shown up in the way that they needed you. Absolutely.
So you're in the opinion that if I have a healthy friendship with my parents, it's also easier for me to pick good friends later on when I meet other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Why would you say in a friendship that you're not safe in? Why would you say in a friendship that if you feel worse about yourself, after you leave that person?
Mhm.
Why would you stay in a friendship that doesn't serve your needs and your purposes? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I listened to her. She's joining, commenting. She just wrote. I said the same thing. She just, you have already one viewer agreeing
Yes.
to what you're saying, but it sounds logical. So if I have an angry dominant relationship with my parents,
Mhm.
I'm getting used to get put down from somebody else,
Mhm.
and then I might think that friendship is about me being on the bottom and they being on the top, being dominant.
Exactly.
And
Right. Yep.
that's
Yep.
maybe
And again,
not
you
the thing I
learn these
want.
things in your
Uh-huh.
homes. This is the first place that you learn them, is in your
Mhm.
homes. And if you had a parent like that, and I've addressed a question that she had, generational trauma. If you come from a home with generational trauma, you kind of
Mhm.
basically have two roles, which is you carry the trauma yourself and you work on that, you do some inner healing, and
Mhm.
then you respond in a way that is safe for your child. But in generational trauma situations, parents have difficulty responding in those safe ways because they go to the trauma responses. Not because there's anything wrong with the parent, but because they haven't been taught the other way. And
Mhm.
that's where I come in. I am a certified parent coach, and I teach them that there's another way to see their children. There's another way to see and rethink, rewire their brain, because trauma actually, the brain is a fascinating thing, but trauma actually rewires that brain. You can heal that with a lot of work, with a lot of therapy, with a lot of re-challenging those limiting beliefs. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'll never get this right. All
Mhm.
those things that you probably were told when you were a child. Now you might be communicating that to your child, and you don't want to. You absolutely don't want to. And there's no shame in here at all for me.
Mhm.
I was that parent. I was that perpetuating the cycle, and so I
Yeah.
know firsthand that it is really hard when you're dealing with trauma. However, you can heal from that, and that is what a parent with trauma needs to do. Mhm.
That's something people. It's a how do you call it? Say of word that you become your mother, you become your dad, but it doesn't have to be like this. If you really want to work, be aware of it. You can change that. You can get out of this drama and be
Yeah.
different for your own children later on.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what you want, right? You want your children to have a safe home environment so they can do that same thing with their children. And so here's the thing. When you have generational trauma, it doesn't end with you. So if you're not seeing, progress or anything in this area, and you're thinking that you're failing in changing your legacy, stop that thought, because you are doing something about it. This trauma probably was generations before you. So you're dealing with, your parents' trauma, your grandparents' trauma, their trauma, and you're saying enough is enough. That's what I said. That's what I did, is enough is enough. And then your children get to grow up in a safe environment where they feel heard, they feel like they're valued, they're important, they are your children, so you just love them just because. And then they do the same thing with their children, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't have to end with you, but it does have to start with you. Yeah.
That's a really amazing topic.
Mhm.
Um, you can also see it in our discussions because I don't know, we have maybe 50, 60 comments already around this
Yeah.
topic.
Yes. Mhm.
And that's really nice. I love it if there is there discussion, even if there are different opinions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's getting boring. Therefore, I think let's have a short view on the general discussion of the topic so far.
Okay.
There have been a lot of amazing posts. Therefore, I'm sad that we only can pick a few of them. It's just not possible. It will just be too much time.
Sure.
And because we have some long answers, I'm also going to shorten the comments a bit. I will keep the message, but I'm just narrowing them down a little bit,
Sure.
so that we get a few different points
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
discussion.
And if you want,
Uh,
I can, go back into the comments and
uh,
respond as well. So yeah, no, I'd love to do
that's
that.
That's lovely if you answer people's question afterwards. So everybody feel free to add comments to this video as well, and that Tina can go through them and can give you answers. That's amazing. Thanks for this offer, Tina.
Oh, not a problem. Love it.
So let's start with Brent Cochran. He wrote, "We aren't supposed to be friends with our children. Our job is to be parents. If you're a friend, it's easy to be disrespected as a parent, especially with teens."
Yes.
Tina, what's your opinion about it?
That's a wonderful observation from Brent. Now, here's the thing. That is also the old paradigm, right? That the parent has to be on top and the child has to be on the bottom. It also has negative thoughts about your child. So you're thinking that your child is going to, give an inch, take a mile, kind of a thing, that they're trying to manipulate you. That is the old paradigm of parenting. My paradigm of empowered parenting, we don't think those thoughts about our kids because they are cognitively incapable of doing that. So children are in their emotional mind till about 7 years old. So, expecting a 4-year-old to know how to handle themselves is just expecting too much because they age-wise, cognitive-wise, they can't do it. Teens, they're a little bit more rebellious, but they're also doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing in their age group. They're trying to test those boundaries. They're supposed to test those boundaries. They're supposed to know exactly when the line of boundaries are crossed and that there's a consequence. That's what toddlers do. That's what teens do. So I don't believe that you cannot be your child's friend at any age, because how does a relationship gain trust? By, again, asking questions, getting curious, asking about the person, trying to, not just about you, right? It's not a one-sided thing. Parents can ask about their children's day and what happened and the teen. And I know that sometimes it's a little harder to talk to teens because they're just like, well, get out of my space or something. But if you ask these questions now, if you give them these tools now, promise you that it's going to be a little bit easier for them to come to you when big things come up. And again, they're going to be able to make those wise choices because you have given them the tools and the safe environment to establish those wise choices. So to this comment, I would say that I don't think a teen will purposely try and manipulate the situation. I think they're having a challenging time of their own. And again, it's a really, really difficult time in a person's life where they're trying to figure out, what are the 3 questions again? Am I safe? Who am I? And how do I belong? Right? In that stage, that's all they want to know. They all only want to know if they're safe, who they are, and do they belong. So I don't think that they're trying to do anything adverse or trying to manipulate or make it harder for you to parent them. I believe that children are needing that safe environment. Once they have it, it'll be a lot easier to be able to still be a parent, but also, again, being your child's friend.
In the conclusion is that maybe stuff breaks, but it's not out of disrespect. It's just because they are not aware of the situations themselves. They maybe are how do you call it? They take more than they can handle, which might goes wrong. But in the end, that's also a type of self-education to realize what am I capable to do, what I'm not capable to do. They have to learn that, and that's either if you stay on the same level with them and don't teach them from the start, don't do that because it's bad. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep them safe. You definitely want to teach them boundaries. So, you want to have very clear boundaries. But you also don't want to dominate in the sense of you do it because I said so. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. Thanks for that. Let's go to Lita O'Cullian. She wrote, I do parenting and being friend at the same time. I make sure they know as a parent. I trust them enough to come with me anytime, and as a friend, they could trust me with any issue they're facing.
Absolutely.
Tina, that sounds great. But how can we achieve this effect?
Again, it's all about, asking those curiosity questions, getting to know your child, being safe for your child, and letting them come to their own journey, because these questions, they have to answer themselves at one point in their life. You can't answer it for them. They have to personally feel it. You have an interpretation of events and how you feel in the home. They have an interpretation of the events and how they feel safe in the home. So bridging that, letting them know, you can trust me, you can come with me with anything, being that safe friend, being that confidant. Basically, you turn into a confidant to your child after a certain point. You stop becoming the caretaker and you become the confidant. You do become the friend, because they have somebody that has always been there, always allowed them to be secure and safe. Now they have a friend. Now they have somebody that they can confide in. And that's the most important thing, I think, is that once they reach, I think that like mid-teen age, like the 12, middle school age, I think that's when they do need a friend more than needed a parent, because they're looking for social, they're looking for their friend groups. They're looking for acceptance at school, and they join things because they want to feel like they're on a team, they belong. But coming home to a dominant parent, that's going to be hard for them if they're already trying to figure out where do they fit in the world, right? So if they come home to somebody that's excited to see them and excited to talk about what's going on, they'll feel more safe, and they'll feel like, oh, okay, like this is where I belong and I matter. So I can have this time to kind of figure this out. Yeah.
In your opinion, what's the bigger problem, usual problem? Is it just about parents trying to be too dominant, or I would say friendships need time. So if I don't put the time in a friendship, the person doesn't become my friend. Is it Is it more about the dominance, or is it more about that parents just don't take enough time for the children to really communicate and talk?
It could be both, right? It could be that their parenting paradigm was the dominant one. So again, they don't know anything else. So they parent the way that they were parented. It also could be the other side of it, where they want to be their friend, but they don't know how. It's difficult. It also could be unsafe for them because, again, it wasn't safe at home for them. So they want to be that in tuned and empathetic parent, but they don't know how. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, because the parents that have come from that dominant parenting style now see themselves as dominant as well. And so it's hard to be their friend because they don't feel safe. So kids aren't going to be able to come to them. So then that's when you'll see the kids go to their friends more than they come to the parents. I mean, but it's normally acceptable at their age, that middle school age, that they go to their friends more. But again, the biggest thing is the trust factor, right? They need to trust their parents enough to be able to come to them. And the parents need to be safe enough to come too. So they need to do their inner healing work. They need to do the works with the triggers, so that when their child comes to them, they can give them the answers that they're looking for. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go to another post. Alison Turner, she also wrote us some comments already during the live session.
Yeah.
She wrote something I find really important, as something you mentioned as well a few times, because not all of us had a good childhood ourselves.
Right.
And she wrote, it's called spending my whole life trying to heal my parents' trauma, breaking the cycle of abuse. What advice would you give to lead to this different path, Tina?
First of all, I want to say anybody who has dealt with generational trauma in this group, I absolutely sympathize with you and empathize. It's hard. It's very hard to be an adult and carry that. Second of all, a lot of support. You need a support network. You cannot do this alone. So find a confidant for yourself. That could be a therapist. That could be your friends. That could be maybe a pastor at church. but anybody that is safe for you. You want to find people that you can express your emotions to, express your feelings, express those hard moments, and like, what do I do? Not somebody that is going to, well, you should just do it, right? Like, you should just get through this. Like, that's not somebody you want to talk to. You want to talk to somebody that is like, I get it. I understand. Yeah, it's hard. Because if you can heal, from that generational trauma, then you'll be able to see a situation in a triggering moment where at one point you were triggered, you responded in one way, but then those skills come back, that training comes back, what your therapist has said come back, what your friend has said comes back, and you reprogram your brain then to respond in a different way. And so instead of the brain reaching for those trauma responses, like I've talked about, it reaches for the new path, the new narrow way. So I want to yell here. Nope, I don't want to yell. So I am going to take a deep breath. I'm going to take in my surroundings, and I'm going to say, nope, not going to yell. I'm going to walk away, give myself a break. Because again, if you don't know how, you don't know how to respond. You can't respond any other way. If someone doesn't show you how, if someone doesn't bring that to your attention, that, hey, you yelled a bit today, and I know you want to be held accountable, you don't want to yell anymore, so what can I do to help you? And so that is the biggest quest, the biggest job of a parent with generational trauma, is to heal from that. Because when you're healed, when you're able, and you're not going to heal ever completely, right? You're not going to be completely healed. So if you still struggle, it's okay. As a certified parent coach, I still struggle sometimes, right? It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to have days where you call your friend and you're like, I don't know what just happened today. But what is so important, and what I cannot stress enough, is that you don't leave an interaction unchanged, which means that you repair as soon as you possibly can. If you've got a teen, they might not want to repair in that moment. But if you've got a toddler, if you've got a little one, you say you're sorry right away. And if there's a big disruption, if the child is like, I don't want to talk about this right now, which they might, okay, let's talk about this later. We'll find a time. It's so important, because I never want my children to walk away from a situation feeling like they are the reason why I reacted this way. Like they have done something wrong, because they will hold that in. And I think this, parents, that if you've dealt with this, you're holding that all in. That's all inside of your body. That's all inside your brain, right? So you're already holding this trauma and all of these responses and all the ways that you were taught. But you need to have a stop point. Somebody needs to come in your life and say, enough is enough. You've got to change this. And you also have to come to that point where you say, enough is enough. I have to change this. Yeah.
That's cool. That's great.
I love this work, and happy.
You can realize that you really are burning. You're flaming for your topic. That's cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really great to see. Thank you for the discussion so far. In my own topic, because it's about friendship skills. How important do you think is the continuous and structured effort to build stable friendships and relationships?
Yeah. Never give up. Never give up on your child, and never give up on forming friendships, because you can't do life alone. You just can't. You're not built for isolation. You're built for community. Always connect before you correct. Always establish that communication first. Leave the communication open. If you've got a teen that doesn't really want to talk, it's okay, but leave the line of communication open. Okay, if you don't want to talk right now, I'm right here. Whenever you need me, I'm right here. So never let yourself think those thoughts of, I can't do it. I'm not a good friend. I don't know my kid. They don't really want to talk to me. I'm not cool enough for them, which sometimes you might not be cool enough for your kids. That's okay. As long as they find friends, it's okay. So don't give up. Please hear me here. do not give up. Your kids need you. Even your teens who say they hate you or that you're, they don't like you as a mom. I was told that by my 4-year-old. I don't like you as my mom. Like, well, too bad. You're my kid. So
you destroyed my life. You didn't buy me the cell phone.
right. Why are you not fun? All my other friends' moms are so fun. It's like, well, sorry about that. But so yeah, absolutely. And here's another thing. People think that if their children are like young adults, that they can't reestablish those relationships, those connections. At any age, you can form a good relationship with your child at any age. And if you have grandkids, that's a perfect time to have those conversations with your child, because you're going to be better with your grandkids, right? You're going to be like an excelled grandma and grandpa, but there's still a lot of wounds in your child from how they were raised. And so, those bridges need to be mended before we try and reach for that control again, because they don't need control, they need connection, right?
That's cool. It was amazing to have you in the live stream today, Tina.
Absolutely.
We spent already over half an hour. The time was flying past. Really, really amazing. Thanks
when you're
very
having
much.
fun, right?
Yes. Thank you so much for joining the discussion.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to read more from you, and I hope that we can repeat this again in a few weeks, few months, whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you to the audience. Thank you, Alison, taking part actively at the chat. Amazing. Thanks for watching. See you again in our group, Friendship Skills 4.0 for the digital age. And feel free to like and share the video. It's public content, so therefore spread it. Tina is she's happy if people recognize her and see her content as well, to hear about her story. So feel free to share. All the best. Yes. Have a nice evening, nice start of the day.
You too.
I wish you all the best.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. So now I have to find the end broadcast button. I got it. So.